Well, welcome. You have just joined Hangout with Coach Kerry, Monday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific time, live show, or of course you could be watching this as a recording from HangOutWithCoachKerry.com. Hello, and my name is Kerry Brown, and I am known as the Small Business Expert. And so my job is to share you everything I got in my head here with you on how to be successful in business. And today our topic is how to create a simple strategic plan. This is perfect timing because today, right now, of course, it's the beginning of 2015. And 2015 is a time for obviously thinking about how you're going to make this year different than last year. And if you're listening to this halfway through 2015, a simple strategic plan still applies. It's still an important piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce my VIP panel, or have them introduce themselves to you, my VIP panelists, because I'm honored to have them here as my guests, and I'm going to have them take themselves off mute one at a time. And so we'll start with you, Kathy. If you can put yourself, take yourself off mute and introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Good morning, Kathy, Kerry. Thanks for having me on again. And I have a business called Niche Travel, and I specialize in women's tours all over the world, spectacular boutique tours and lots of fun with wonderful tour hosts such as you. That is, Kerry, you're taking a tour to the Baltics this year for us. And what I would suggest is for anybody interested in traveling with a small group of women to sign up for my newsletter on nichetravel.ca, and I will send you a lovely women's world's best packing list for free.
And that's a great packing list. I used it last time when I went to Italy, and I went through it, and it was fabulous. There's some things on there that I don't think anyone would have figured to take, but boy, they sure came in handy. So that's great. Thanks, Kathy. Okay, Diana, how about you? Take yourself off mute. There you go.
Almost forgot to push mute there. Anyways, I am Dr. Diana Galbraith. I'm a former family physician, and what I do is I work with women, particularly business women, who have spent so much of their time and their energy and extended it all into their business, often at the expense of their own health. So what I do is I really help them come up with ways that they can get that back without having to make dramatic changes or changes that they can't sustain in their lifestyle. And I just want to let everyone know that if they go to my website, onestgethealthy.com, I have a great handout there called, or a download there called 10 Essential Steps to Healthy Weight Loss, because we so often think it's just all about diet and exercise, and there's so many other things to consider. And I know with it being the new year, that's often what's on people's minds. So I just encourage people to go to my website, onestgethealthy.com, and download that document, 10 Essential Steps to Healthy Weight Loss.
Great. Thanks, Diana. And Heidi. Welcome, Heidi.
Oh, thank you.
Tell us about you.
Nice to be here. My business is In Your Corner, Virtual Assistant Services, and we help small businesses leverage themselves by taking over administrative tasks, which frees up their time to look after clients, to do client work, to seek out new clients, whatever they need to do. So my belief is that we can all achieve so much more when we have help. So delegating is the key to success, and we're all about making your work life easier.
Great. And how can they reach you, Heidi, if they wanted to find out more about what you do?
The website is inyourcornerva.com.
Great. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know this is going to be a great call because I've got these panelists I know have been thinking about the question, or the topic today is how to create a simple strategic plan. So Kathy, how about we start with you?
Well, my question, Kerry, is, you're saying strategic plan. So what's the difference between a strategic plan and a marketing or a business plan?
That's a great question. And so often there's all these terms, plans, but then how do you distinguish between them? Well, a business plan is what you start when you're really first in business. It's where you have a lot of assumptions about your business. It's where you're talking about the overall goals, your overall vision for your business, the overall strategies that you think you're going to use to create the success that you want to be able to drive the business. And it'll be a little different format if it's a business plan, whether you are going for financing or whether this is just going to be your sort of guiding map. So this is a long-term guiding map document, your business plan is. And yes, from time to time, you may want to go back and re-look at a full business plan, and that may be if you decide that what you've got in place, your assumptions were really off. It's time to go back and redo a new business plan again. So that's when you'd use a business plan. Now, a marketing plan is a plan just around the marketing you're doing for your business, and it'll talk about the various strategies you're going to use. So the strategies for marketing that you're going to use. It'll talk about what are the various vehicles that you're going to be using? What are going to be the tactics to take that to the marketplace? So that's specifically on marketing plan. What a strategic plan is, the strategic plan will incorporate those marketing ideas, but it also could be pieces around your finances. It could be pieces around your administration. It could be pieces around whether you delegate or don't delegate. You know, whether you hire someone this year, or whether you to be an employee, or whether you hire someone like Heidi as a virtual assistant to be on your team. So it encompasses all the aspects of business, not just marketing. And it's specific for a specific time period, whereas a business plan is that much larger, longer-term plan that you have in place that really is where you're stating all your assumptions that you have for your business, and you've really not put them in place. The strategic plan will look at the year back, and it'll look at the year going forward, and it will compare and contrast the two of those. So you're going to do what I call as a gap analysis in there, where you're going to look at what are the things you want to achieve in 2015, and where you are currently right now at the end of 2014, and then there's the gap in there. And then the next thing, of course, is what are the things you're going to do to bring those two together, to fill up that gap. In other words, to move where you are in 2014 to actually where you want to be at the end of 2015. So Kathy, did I answer that clearly enough for you that if I said to you today to be able to describe the difference between a business plan, a marketing plan, a strategic plan, you now know the difference in that?
I think so. Yeah, that was great, Kerry. Thanks.
Okay, great, excellent, good. So Diana, how about for you?
Well, I'd like to know why it's so important to do one, like what really are the benefits. And I'd also like to know how extensive or thorough you should be in this plan, as maybe compared to the business plan, but just how thorough should you be?
Great. Well, the topic of today is a simple business plan, simple strategic plan. And so that in itself, simple meaning it doesn't have to be incredibly complicated. The information has to be relevant in it, though. So I'm going to deal with that question first. How complicated? How extensive does it have to be? You have to be really clear about and specific and measurable in what you want to achieve going forward. So if your time frame is the year ahead, then where you want to be at the end of that year. And if I arrived on your doorstep at the end of this coming year and asked you, did you achieve what you wanted to achieve? You'd be able to tell me, yes, I did, because I grew this portion of my business by 10%. I did this by a certain percentage, whatever that might happen to be. So that actually has to be measured in your strategic plan. How complicated is it? Well, it really depends on how complex your business is, because you may have a very complex business. So there may be components of your strategic plan, or you may have more components of your strategic plan that you want to analyze and you want to put goals around for 2015. Or they may just be simpler ones. You may have 3 or 4. But these are your targets that you want to go for. Now, the most important thing is you need to know where you are right now in it. And that's what makes it sometimes not so simple, is the problem is that we don't take a look at where we are right now. We aren't honest with ourselves about what's really happened in our business. And if you are an optimist by nature, then we tend to sometimes look at those things with a very optimistic viewpoint. And what we don't take into consideration is what's really happened. So you need to take a look at the current situation and where you want to be. So that's what makes it simple. And then the other piece is, why do you need to do one? Well, it would be as if you went on a trip and you didn't decide where you were going to go. Much like a business plan. Why do you do a business plan? It's because you need a roadmap. You need to know which direction you're going. You need to know which cities you're going to travel through if you're going on a vacation. Well, exactly the same thing with a business plan, and the same thing for a strategic plan. We're just talking about a smaller segment of time. What are the strategies you're going to use to achieve the outcomes you want? And so it's really important that you do one, because if not, I guarantee you this coming year will look much like last year if you're not really being specific about that. Because those are the guiding things that are going to move you forward, that are going to determine which pieces you're going to take steps on. Is it going to be around marketing? Is it going to be around your financial management? Is it going to be around your business systems? Whatever it happens to be in place, that's a really, really key piece. So, Diana, did I answer your questions for you?
Yes. No, that was great, Kerry. Thank
Good.
you very much.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So
Excellent.
Heidi, I'm going to ask you to take your speaker off mute and ask me your question, please.
Okay, can you hear me, Kerry?
I sure can.
Excellent. So, like most things, my question is just, what are the common mistakes? So you're the expert. If you can give us some guidelines of things to avoid, or common pitfalls that people fall into when they're doing their strategic plan.
That's a great question. And in fact, I was just walking through, actually this past week, 2 clients working on their strategic plan, because sometimes I'll work with people who, this is just the only piece that they work with me with, or people who work with me long term. And in both cases, they immediately, once we decided what they wanted to achieve for 2015, immediately went into, and here's what I want to do about that. They immediately moved in to the tactics and strategies they were going to do to achieve that, missing the key point, which is, where are you right now in relationship to that? It's a really common mistake, because if you don't know where your starting point is, then how do you know what your next first steps are? So you have to determine where you are right now. What have you achieved? What was your income for 2014? What are the marketing plans that did work and that didn't work in the marketing strategies that worked and didn't work in 2014? Where are you in terms of the various other strategies that you've got in place around business systems? Are there systems that you have in place that are working and some that aren't? Are you clear that there are some that need help? That problems occur because you don't have certain strategies in place. So that's a really key piece to deal with first before you immediately move into strategies. But our mind immediately jumps there. So if I were to say to each one of you, or to our listeners today, what do you want to achieve in 2015, and maybe pick one thing. You'd say what it is, and then immediately your mind, I'm going to ask you all, is this true? Then immediately you think about, okay, here's what I need to do about that, isn't it? It's the first thing that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the mistake. What you want to do is stop yourself from that process. And there's some really key questions you've got to ask yourself that are very revealing. What am I confused about? What's working? What isn't working? All of those kinds of things. And so it's a really, really key piece for you to be able to identify those pieces first before you put your strategies in place. So Heidi, did that answer your question for you? Are you pretty clear what the key mistake is?
Oh yeah, the key mistake is jumping forward before I actually know where I am. So
yeah,
like if you're on Google Maps, you need to have a starting point. So I liked your example about income, because that's an easy one. Like, I know what my income was for last year, so if one of my goals is to increase my income, then I can look at where I was, where I want to be.
Yeah. Exactly.
What worked, what didn't, how many clients did I have to generate that income, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. So those are the metrics that you'll get out of doing that, because again, everything you want in terms of your strategic plan, you want it to be measurable. So if you're making advancement on it. If that you need to have 20 clients, then what does that look like, and where are you right now? So you want to have those measurements and those benchmarks along the way so that you can see if you're making progress. Because if you don't, how do you know if you're moving forward? So it's really key to know where you want to go, where are you right now. Ask yourself those key questions. What's working? What isn't working? What do I need to learn? What am I confused about? All of those kinds of things. Those are really, really key questions to be able to create a plan that's going to get the traction that you want to be able to have. So Kathy, I have a sense that you kind of put your hand up for me. What's another question you might have for me?
Well, Kerry, I love this. This is great. I have a great marketing plan. I have a great business plan, but I do not have a strategic plan. So this is perfect information for me. So what I would say is, what's the format? What are the steps? How do I get going?
Great question. And today's episode is, we don't have the time on today's episode to be able to go through all the steps and to have somebody facilitate through it, because honestly what I would say is that if I were to even give you just the format for you to do it on yourself or by yourselves, you're going to shortcut some of those things. But it starts with what your long-term vision is. It's a really, really key piece. You know, you've got to have your vision, and you've got to check in to see if your vision is exactly where you want to go. Then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, you know, what are the goals that you want in your strategic plan. So why are you doing it in the first place? What do you want to achieve with your strategic plan in this upcoming year? It's a really, really key piece. Then we're going to take a look at where are you right now, and ask some of those really, really, you know, tough questions to be able to answer. And then we're going to get into strategies and tactics with each one of those. And so the good news is I've decided I'm going to actually have a webinar covering all of these steps and actually walk you through it so you can actually do the work while we're on the webinar. Because I know we all have the best plans in place to be able to do it, but the fact is we don't often end up doing what we need to do. So here's how you're going to find out about the webinar. Is I want everyone to go to HangOutWithCoachKerry.com, and you can and while you're there, download my ebook that's there, and how to get out of overwhelm and create massive results. And then from there you will get a notice from me for the upcoming webinar that's going to be happening. And of course you get to hear from me on tips and strategies as well, and upcoming episodes. So Kathy, great question. Unfortunately on today's episode we don't have time to go into all of those pieces, because the webinar is probably going to be over 2 segments where you actually get to do the homework. But there are those key components to it. Starts with your vision, then what are all those goals you want to achieve, then currently where are you right now, and doing the analysis, doing the metrics, measuring all of those things, asking the questions, doing a SWOT analysis. Then you're going to go into your actual strategies you're going to put in place, and then your tactics out of it. So as you can see, even though it's simple, there's lots of information you need to gather from there, and you're going to need the time to be able to sit and think through that. So that webinar is where I'm going to do that for the people that join us. I think it'll be a great opportunity for people to be able to create a plan that gets some traction for them for this upcoming year. So finally, what I'd like to do is just ask all my panelists to take their headsets off mute, and I'd like to get the one thing you're taking away from today's episode. And it doesn't have to relate to the question you asked me, but one thing that you're taking away. And we'll start with you, Kathy.
Well, first of all, I'm excited to hear about your webinar. That's wonderful. So I would say my one takeaway is I need to take that webinar.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Good. Excellent. Diana.
Well, I would agree. I think the webinar sounds excellent. I'm really looking forward to hearing about that. And I think the other point I want to add is just putting pen to paper and actually doing what you're saying here, because it's so easy to keep those things in our head and just, oh yeah, I'm doing it. It's in my head, but it's not on paper. And so just the idea of, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put it down on paper and do what Kerry said. So
yeah. Great. Yes, I know the best laid plans, and the reason most people, they know they need to do some kind of planning for this upcoming year, and it astounds me how few people actually do that. So thanks for reinforcing that, and hopefully the audience is hearing that message come through loud and clear. And Heidi, how about for you?
Well, absolutely excited to hear about the webinar, because any guidance that I can receive in the business systems is always most helpful. And probably the thing that I'm taking away is just the importance to be realistic about where I am in my business and what I've accomplished, as opposed to, I am a very optimistic person. So, take off those rose-colored glasses is what I'm thinking. So thank you, Kerry.
Yeah, absolutely. So all great, 3 great points that you guys have solidified for everybody. And again, having a format and having someone walk you through it, which is what we'll do on this webinar. So again, go to HangOutWithCoachKerry.com, download my ebook there, and get notifications on upcoming events and this upcoming webinar as well. Remember, you can always find us here Monday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific on HangOutWithCoachKerry.com. You can watch directly off of the website, and you can find us on. You can find me on YouTube as well. And please join me on in my Google Plus community. It's called Kerry Brown Small Business Community. Please join us. join me there. I interact, ask your questions. It's another opportunity for you to get access to me, and it allows me to do what I love to do, which is serve you all. So in the meantime, have a great week. Start thinking about this strategic plan, what goals you want to have for this upcoming year, and we will talk to you next Monday morning. Talk to you then. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, Kerry. Thanks again.
Bye, Kerry.
Bye-bye.
Have a great week, everybody.